Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and this is my first Tuesday of Spiritual Tuesday, and I have the wonderful Kelly McCarthy here with me this week. So, Kelly, tell us, how do you deal when the shit gets real? Or really just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. First, thanks so much for having me. Let me just say that my name is Kelly McCarthy. I own Beyond Words and Wisdom. I'm located in Connecticut. And how do I deal with the shit when it gets real? Let me tell you. Meditation is probably the number one thing. Of course, I didn't start there, but that would be what I suggest now for anybody who is looking to begin a practice of getting closer to their inner being, understanding that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's the best way to get to know the real you, is to cut through all the BS, all the patterns, all the unconscious habits, and get in there and really connect to who you really are, not what you have been taught to be.
No, I mean, I love that. Meditation for me, at least for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. I felt for the longest time I was doing it wrong. I was like, my mind is still talking and it's going 100 miles an hour, and I don't know if I'm actually meditating. But it turns out I guess you actually are. So for people like me, what can you say to people like me that are like, I don't know if I'm meditating right?
Yes, this is something that comes up with so many clients all the time. I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. I'm doing it wrong. Let me tell you, the harder the meditation feels, the more you're actually working it. The whole point of meditation, the word itself means to know thyself. So in meditation, what we're doing is literally taking ourselves out of chaos and learning to be still and to recognize the chaos that's still coming in, so that when we are conscious outside of meditation, we can become so conscious of our unconscious patterns and habits that you can't be unconscious anymore. You actually see it. You start to recognize it. And then from there, it gets a lot easier. But I will say, I still have days where meditation is challenging, but those are the days where I'm actually growing more. I'm doing more to connect to my inner being than the days where I'm just floating off into another dimension.
I'm so glad you said that, because as a creative person, like, my monkey brain is going all the time. Like, I'll be in meditation and I'm like, I gotta make my kids lunch. Wait, focus, come back.
Yes, and that's all it takes, is just that awareness of being drifted off by another thought or a trigger or anything like that, to bring yourself back to the present moment as often as you can, understanding that you are here for the human experience and there's always going to be something showing you something. But what I've learned is everything is merely just contrast. And if you would stop taking everything so personally, and instead, and this is what I had to do, was literally stop taking everything so personally and look at things as showing you what you no longer want to do or be. So don't see people as enemies or things like that. Just see them as contrast. Show them as, oh, I don't want to be like that person. Or sometimes it's the mirror effect showing us something that still needs to be healed within us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The mirror effect. Absolutely. Like, I have those moments all the time where I'm like, wait a minute. Why is this triggering me? What's really triggering me? And that's hard. It's hard to do.
It is. It takes practice. So a lot of people give up because it feels so challenging. But it's no different than training your body to run a marathon or anything else. But the probably the number one thing I see people wanting to give up is because they're not seeing immediate changes. But one of the things I like to reference is, if you put a pot of water and you turn the burner on high, it doesn't automatically boil. It takes a while. But if you were to look at it, you wouldn't necessarily see the changes. But the energy is building. You just can't see it yet, but you have to believe it. You know that it's going to happen with boiling water. You know it's going to boil, but we don't have that same trust in ourselves. So we have to see ourselves as, it takes patience. You can't have instant gratification for everything. Patience, compassion for the journey, and just take your time and enjoy the ride. It's not about the destination.
I think that's one of the hardest things that's going on right now. It's become the world of instant gratification. So it's so hard for people to just be like, myself included. I definitely have those moments where I'm like, why? this has got to happen. And then you got to snap yourself back and be like, hold on, wait a
Yes.
minute.
And we all
Mm-mm,
have those. It's the human experience here. We all have them each and every day. We just have to create more conscious awareness around them.
absolutely. So you mentioned in like your pre-interview that you had a pivotal moment that really like shattered your reality. So like what happened and why did that moment feel so critical?
So for me, I am a former restaurant owner, and if you can imagine the frantic energy that comes with owning a restaurant 7 days a week, I had small children at the time, and I was overextended as a mom, as a business owner, as a wife, as somebody who volunteered for everything, and I started to begin to have suicidal ideologies. And what I realized when I was hospitalized for this was that it wasn't a breakdown as they saw it, it was a breakthrough. And it wasn't that I actually wanted to die, I was never taught how to live. I had
Ooh,
literally,
ooh,
yes, I
that
had
gives me
never been
goosebumps.
taught how to live. So I literally came out of that conversation with myself, that situation. That was a huge pivotal moment with the universe tapping me on the shoulder saying, here's your second chance for you to really expand yourself and understand what it is you're here for. And I see it all the time now with people. But unfortunately, most people wait until something bad happens, like in my case, to actually make those changes. And now I help people and say, why wait? Why are you waiting for the ball to drop? Why are you waiting to hit your rock bottom? Let's get you from where you are in this moment and rocket you forward instead of waiting until things get so bad that you have that recurring I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired, which is what I was. And now,
Yeah.
totally different story, totally different person. The old version of me doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people that it seems and they talk about that a lot. I think even Bashar has talked about that where like it takes sometimes that really traumatic incident where you can't even turn back. Like you literally have no choice but to move.
Yeah, and that was that pivotal moment for me. One, because I had small children, but two, the absolute realization and inner knowing that it wasn't that I wanted to die. I just had never been taught to live.
So what was your first step in learning how to actually live?
Whew, acceptance. Absolute acceptance as me for who I was in that moment. Understanding that as we know better, we do better. And as we do better, we help create space for others to do the same. I had to really accept that I was okay as a person. There was nothing wrong with me. I didn't need to be fixed. There was nothing that needs solving. It was literally me pulling back the layers of unconscious habits and patterns that have been instilled in me my entire life by other people, my ideologies by other people, my beliefs by other people, and literally little by little had to just start peeling that onion back and finding the real me, and here I am 15 years later from that specific incident being a completely different person with a totally different understanding.
It's crazy what you can uncover when you really start digging into your subconscious and the thoughts that have just been running on replay. Do you mind sharing what one of your maybe even thoughts were or just programming that you had that was just you had to just
Oh,
nix?
so many. Oh my goodness, so many. But that me myself, even a woman in general, had to be and do everything for everyone all the time. That I had to be a caretaker because I was a woman. That I had to say yes, even though the insides of me were screaming no. I would still automatically people please. I wanted to be everybody's everything. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be, seen and heard and witnessed. So I kept putting myself in these situations where I was exhaust myself in the process, but I became a victim of my own circumstances, which led to me living in a victim mentality, which created all kinds of havoc emotionally, mentally, physically, and of course, spiritually, which at that time I had really no connection to because I had forgotten the being that I was born as.
Ooh, I mean, that hits home. I think, like you said, especially as women, a lot of us are people pleasers. We
Yeah.
think that we have to make people happy all the time.
Don't rock
And
the boat.
yep, I was definitely one of those people too. Like on the inside just wanting and on the outside being like, "Yeah, of course."
Oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Pouring from that empty cup and then wondering
Yes.
why nothing left at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. So learning healthy boundaries. That was probably my first was learning that no was a complete sentence. And I didn't have to justify, I didn't have to explain. I could just say no, and that was the end of the conversation. So
Yes.
that was a really big turning point in my life, was to say no. And as a restaurant owner that volunteered at my kids' school and was always donating things, like, I always just wanted to see the best in everyone. I wanted to help in every way. I am a servant leader. That's my energy. I love to assist people, but I have to make sure that my cup is full first.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't give anybody anything if your cup is empty. I
Yes.
mean, that was one of the first videos that I saw from Tabitha Brown. I don't know if you've seen her on TikTok. She's pretty
No.
big, but that was one of the first videos I saw from her, was talking about no being a complete sentence, and I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have to explain anything to anyone." All
Hmm.
right. All right.
Feels good.
It feels good. Yeah, exactly. Which kind of leads perfectly into like my next question for you, because I really am curious how you feel about this. How important do you think it is to surround yourself with like-minded people?
Oh, 100%. But here's what I will tell you that's even more fascinating that happened to me, was as I started to change my energy, those people that were not in alignment with who I was becoming naturally started to fall away. I did not have to ask them to leave. There was no, issues, there were no fights, there were no anything. It just naturally, we went our separate ways. It was almost like we just went into different dimensions and lived different lives. There was no hard feelings, there was no anything. So, but now making sure that I am in alignment and making sure that I stay with like minded people, it's extremely important, because everything is just energy, right? We all know this. But if you think about spending time with people that have low frequencies, what's that going to do to you? It's just going to bring your frequency down. And we know that the more stories we tell of our past, what happens? We bring ourselves back to the energy of that moment, because it's recorded in our brains that way. And this is like neuroscience. This isn't, pseudoscience anymore. So, with that knowing, there's no way I want to hang around people who have victim mentality or people who are constantly complaining, because I want to feel good. Life is short. We're here for such a short time. I don't want the BS anymore. I want to be in a high frequency as often as possible. So I ride high.
That was actually one of the reasons I knew I was meant to like connect with you, aside from some things that we already like talked about. I'm almost done reading Dr. Joseph Dispenza's Breaking
Oh,
the Habit of Being Yourself, and I saw
yes,
on your website that you were talking about quantum physics, and I was like,
yes.
"Oh, oh, we're all on the same wavelength right now."
Yes, it's part of the collective consciousness.
Yes.
And Dr. Joe is one of them. He's one of those thought leaders that literally is the bridge between the science and the woo woo, like literally is bringing it together so that people can't say that this is false anymore. So listening to him, it would be an absolute game changer for anyone who really wanted to make lasting conscious change in their life. I highly recommend him.
Yeah, the thing I loved about his books, because sometimes when you start introducing quantum physics, it can get
Yes.
very over your head, but
Yes.
he breaks it down so well. So yeah, I agree. His books and his, if you can, even if you're not a reader, if you can just listen to him or find him on TikTok or Instagram, like his stuff is awesome.
Yeah, YouTube as well. He's got some amazing podcasts. And this is also something I want to say for people who are just starting out. You need to know your own frequency. So you need to know, how well do you learn and in which way? Are you somebody who is an audio learner? Are you somebody who is a reader? I'm not a reader. I learn by audio and by visual and hands on. But if I were to sit down and read something, yeah, I'll enjoy it in the moment, but it doesn't stay with me. So making sure people know how they learn best when they're starting out, so they actually integrate the information that they're receiving from whichever way that they need to best.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a great point and very important to make. I am definitely a visual learner.
Mhm.
So I love to see things. It helps me understand better if I can make the correlation between seeing it and then hearing what somebody's trying to tell me. So you're 100% right. So important.
Yes.
So I loved on your website that you said you're a soul reader. So what I don't think I've heard that term before. What exactly is a soul reader and how do you do that?
Yeah. So, as a soul reader, I'm basically a storyteller of souls. I have the ability to look within people and converse with living or past, human or animal, does not matter. But I also go within you. I can help you understand your shamanic gifts that you were born with. We're all born with them, we're conditioned to forget them. I can tell you about your ancestral fate. I can tell you about your unconscious patterns, your habits, all kinds of things will come through in this. And how I do it is literally using my own shamanic gifts that I have taken the time to really, really step into. And that all really happens through meditation. Again, the more that you connect to your inner being, the more your own gifts will start to come forward. So that's really what I do.
That's so cool. And like, do you only do it in person? Can you do it
No,
online?
I can do it anywhere. I don't need to see. So oftentimes I'm a big animal communicator for a lot of people. So I don't need to see the animal. I don't even need to see a picture. I can pick up the energy of your animal just talking to you. And usually what happens with whether I'm starting out with a human or an animal, then everything will come through. Whoever your guides are, they can be animal totems, they can be the archangels, they can be people who have passed in your life, they can be your living relatives now, situations that are going on at work. I read the energy of you in this moment, but I can also read the energy of what's possible.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I like am totally intrigued. Like, how do you see, is it like an energy? Are you like seeing an energy or are you just it's just something
Well,
that you're able to pick up on?
so I have a few different shamanic gifts. Probably one of my biggest is claircognizance, and that's the ability to just know what you know without knowing what you know until you
Mhm.
receive a confirmation. That's probably my number one. But I do see things. I see animals that aren't necessarily there. So oftentimes I have to ask people, "Do you see that?" Bear or bat or whatever I'm seeing somewhere. So oftentimes I can't really tell if it's real or if it's in my imagination. I can hear things. So I hear ringing or I hear voices, but I also feel. So I get confirmations. I can smell, I can taste. So I get confirmations from all different kinds of ways using my gifts. So I have to really just kind of play with each one. It comes through as kind of like a puzzle that I kind of have to play with depending on which gift whoever is choosing to come through comes through. I hope that
Uh,
makes sense.
It does. No, I love it. I think it at least it makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to all the listeners too. I'm very intuitive and empathic, so like I get more I what you're saying just because it makes sense to me because it's something that I've felt my most of my life.
Right.
Obviously, yours is deeper than that, but I get what you're throwing down.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Something you did say though that stuck out to me is that you said we're conditioned to forget our gifts. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. When we are born, we are completely free. Think about it. Other than the automatic stamp that comes on us of the beliefs that immediately come right down to us, who our parents are, their religion, their, political affiliation, where you grow up, that kind of stuff. But our spirits are still totally free. And we are so connected to Mother Earth. It's why kids want to just meander through the woods and pick things up. But it's the parents and the things outside of the children that are constantly reining them in. Come on, we got to put our shoes on. Come on, we got to go, we're in a rush. All of that schooling, all the information that is coming at them at such a young age, and now we have technology which makes it even worse. So we're pulling kids out of that innocence, out of that make believe, out of that creative stage much younger than we used to. Back when I was a kid, we didn't have that. So we lasted a lot longer before our gifts were taken. But now kids are losing them and losing that connection to Mother Earth. That's why we are seeing a big intake in parents who are pulling their kids and starting to homeschool. It's becoming more and
Ah.
more, and that is 100% why, because the kids are having less problems, they're having less, mental health issues, because they're still connected to nature. They're spending more time outside. They're staying connected to what's truly important, and not being bombarded with information that really is useless when you think about it. And they're
Yeah.
really just repeating the same information over and over. And what they're doing is just instilling more fear. One of the things that they talk about, we're never taught the universal laws in school. The only law that we were ever shared was the law of gravity. And why? It's the one that keeps you small and in fear. But if they shared all the
Mm.
other gifts and all the other universal laws that are out there in quantum physics, we would be a completely different species. But we came here to go through this. We came here to experience it, understand it. So that's why all of these gifts, we are born with them. Every single one of us has these. We're just conditioned to forget by all of the noise. And there's so much of it. That's why when you go back into meditation, or you go into nature, or do things like that, grounding, earthing, those kind of things, forest bathing, you get back connected.
I mean, I lived outside when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and no shade to my own kid because I love him to pieces, but getting him outside is a chore.
Yes, because outside is no longer even allowed. Even in the schools, they're getting rid of recess. Kids are being less and less, creative on the outside, and more conditioned to like sit in little boxes and do their thing. It's breaking us. It's not helping us.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I love hiking, and I know if I don't like go hiking or go outside, like
Mhm.
my whole my whole
Yes.
day, my whole world feels weird.
Yes, absolutely, because that's what you need to do for you to stay in balance. It's filling your cup. But most people aren't. Most people are living in survival mode, or, anxious, stressed out, whatever. And it's all because they're not taking the time to ground themselves. They're not taking time to rest and relax, because they think that they can't, or they've been conditioned to believe that it's not allowed. You have to push, you have to hustle, you have to do. No, you have to learn to be.
Yeah, we definitely have forgotten that, and I think too, because I've seen a lot of it, and I'm sure you have too, that a lot of us get caught up in checking off the boxes, get married, have babies, go to school, and life is not about checking boxes. This is
No.
not a voter ballot.
No, it is not. But we're seeing a change. We're seeing a shift.
We are.
More and more people are becoming entrepreneurs. They're ditching what, the parents and grandparents and whatever thought was success. They're seeing that success is happiness, success is fulfillment over dollars. And that is a big energetic shift that we are going into, which is just beautiful to witness. And it's coming with younger and younger generations. So loving it, loving it.
Yeah, I love seeing all these people that are starting their own business or doing their own thing. It's one of the reasons I love the podcast. I get to meet so many different cool people. Um, and just for me, like what just because I want to know, what is your sign? What's your astrology?
I am a Virgo.
Ooh, okay.
But I do not, and I tell everybody else this, never get caught up in what your sign is. Never get caught up
No.
in the zodiac stuff. Never, because once you attach yourself to a title or something, even human design, all of those things, you become that. You don't
Yes.
allow yourself to shift. So when people say, "Oh my God, you're a Virgo," I'm a Virgo in the old sense, not in the new sense. I brought the beautiful traits of Virgo, like the organization and the communication and the leadership, but I let the other things go. Like I need the perfectionism and everything has to be perfect. Like all of that was left behind, and instead, I was like, "This is what I want to step into." And this title and these aspects are what I want to leave behind. So we have a
Yeah.
choice, but people forget that. They get so caught up in I'm this or I'm that. No,
No, no,
you
no.
can be and do anything. So don't get caught up in the titles of anything.
No, absolutely. The thing that I like about it, it was just kind of like a compass. I don't think of it as
Yeah.
like a title. It just kind of gave
Yes.
me an idea to make more sense of things. Because forever, for most of my life, everybody was like, you have to pick one thing and just do one thing. And I was like, I can't just do one thing. And then I found out I was a manifesting generator, and I was like, oh. That's
Yes.
why I don't want to do only one thing. But it's not, to me, I don't view it as a title. It just makes sense now why my brain is
Yes.
the way it is.
And I love that for you, but I have a lot of clients that get caught in that. Well, I'm this
Yes.
way because I'm this, or I'm this
No,
because
no.
I'm this. And that's that victim mentality we're talking about is no, we don't want to see it as that. You have a beautiful perspective knowing that it's just a guide. It's just
Yes.
a guide. It's not who you are. It's not the definition. It's just a guide.
I've always had a problem with being put in a box. I don't want to be in a box. Give me
Me
the
too.
outside. Give me the outside of the box.
I always colored outside of the lines, like on
Yes.
purpose, like more like watercolor, because I was
See?
like, no, who decided that these lines are supposed to be here?
Right. This is no fun.
Right.
Um, so I know you said you're not a big book reader, so I'm gonna alter my question a little bit. I know I like to get book recommendations if I can, but if you're not a book reader, that's fine. Do you have a favorite podcast? Do you have a favorite show, a documentary? Like, what's something you can recommend to us that you think is super cool or super helpful?
So I will say that anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza is off the charts amazing. I don't care if
Yes.
you read his book, I don't care if you listen to a podcast, an audiobook, are able to go and see him live, any of those. Dr. Wayne Dyer is another absolutely incredible spiritual being. He has passed, but he can still be found, on YouTube, and has an incredible understanding of our inner spirit. Abraham Hicks is another one that people absolutely just gravitate towards. But also the documentary Heal. If you haven't seen that one, that's a really, really good one. Now, Dr. Joe is in that, but I don't believe that it's his. But it is the story of people healing themselves from all kinds of things, which is pretty incredible to watch and listen to, because he's talking about like the brain scans, and things like that. I recommend Gaia
Ooh,
TV to anybody who wants to really learn about things. Dr. Joe has one out right now. It's called Source. I highly recommend that because it actually shows the science behind the findings of all the brain scans, the blood work of people who are biologically changing themselves from the inside out just through the formula he created for meditation. So
his formula is insane.
absolutely.
I have not heard of that documentary, so I'm absolutely gonna check that out. And I love Abraham Hicks. There's something about her voice that's just,
Yes.
it's just I just love her voice.
Yes. She's very calming. She's very simple. It's everything is very simple. It's so understanding that you can't misunderstand what she's saying. She puts it in like layman's terms so that anybody can get it.
Yeah,
So,
and she'll make you laugh a little bit because
and
she
she'll
usually
make
has a
you
joke.
absolutely, she will make you laugh.
Um, so to who has been your most influential? Let me try that again. My mouth is just not working. It's Monday. Who has been an influential mentor for you?
You know what? I got to tell you that it's not just one person. It's probably every
That's okay.
single person that I come in contact with every single day, because there's an inspirational or a new lesson that needs to be learned or something. So I see everybody around me as mentors or teachers for me to learn and listen to. Um, and I think we need to do more of that, and be less egotistical of, oh, well, this person has a doctorate or this person is this. There are some incredible, just everyday people who have amazing things to say, and you can learn a lot from so many different kinds of people. So I don't like to pigeonhole and say I've had one. It's people every single day in my life have been unbelievable mentors.
I mean, I love that. That was one of the reasons my cousin and I had started this podcast, was to talk to the incredible everyday heroes of our community and the people that, like, you might just run into the grocery store that has this amazing story that you wouldn't hear otherwise. So I love it. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Now you just want me, I just want to go walking around talking to a bunch of random people like, "Hey, what do you got for
Yes.
me?"
I mean, really. And it all just happens. Like here's the thing, you go in with a smile on your face, before you know it, you are hearing stories from people. Like, I have been stuck in, and I'm not even going to say stuck, I have been in grocery stores for 3 hours, even just running in for one thing, because I have stopped or bumped into numerous people that just want to have a conversation. And these aren't people that I know. It just starts out as a random, hey, do you know where I can find this? And before I know it, they're telling me their life story or something. And I learned so much from so many people just in my everyday, interactions. I love it.
And these random interactions, do you ever like randomly do like soul reading for them? Does that ever just
Absolutely.
randomly happen?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. It happens a lot with people. But I always ask permission. And it usually starts with something like, I think people are called to me because they feel that energy, they feel the safety, and they just somehow sense that I know things. Because I've had random people come up to me and just start talking. Before I know it, they're talking about their wife that has passed, or they just lost their dog, or something happened. And before I know it, well, would you like me to share something with you? And before we know it, we're going into all kinds of information, and they're enjoying a soul reading on me.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Uh, why haven't I ran into you in the grocery store?
And I do have to turn it off, because I had to start creating healthy boundaries, because I used to walk with all my friends and we'd be on a bike path or something, and all the animals, like, I can hear all the animals talking, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It was like that movie with Mel Gibson, with What Women Want, where he could hear all the women talking. It got to be like that at one point when I was just beginning and didn't understand about healthy boundaries. So I'd be walking somewhere and I'd be hearing all these kinds of things or seeing things. It was like, okay, this is overwhelming. I need to slow it down here, and really start to harness my gifts and my craft at this point.
I was wondering what movie you were gonna go with. I was like, she's probably either gonna pick What Women Want or Bruce Almighty when he gets like the god
Oh,
powers and he can hear all the people.
I forgot all about that one. That's good too. I forgot about that one.
I was like, it's probably gonna be one or the
Yep.
Oh, I mean, my cat, you don't even have to like. He just talks all the time. My cat, I swear to God, he just meow 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 meow. Meow. He's the chattiest cat I've ever had in my life. Granted, he's the first cat that I've had, but he's a chatty one. I just need to learn how to speak cat now.
It's not even a matter of cat. Here's what I will say about animal communication, because people are like, oh, you're so lucky you can do that. Anybody can do this. It's a matter of really learning how to. And again, it's about meditation. You have to learn to become so still with yourself that you open yourself up enough to hear what's being shared. And the other thing is, people want to desperately like hear. They're so connected to, especially with those that have passed. I'm going to say this, or even those that are living, because they can't use the senses that they've been trained to use. They feel like nothing's happening. They're missing the messages, believe it or not, that are coming through loud and clear from our living animals, our living people, as well as those who have passed, just because they haven't learned what gifts they have to acknowledge them yet. So oftentimes, once I start to work with people and help them understand their shamanic gifts, then they start receiving messages and realizing, oh, my confirmation of a yes to a question is because I'm feeling it, or I got a ring in my ears. It's not necessarily because they see something right in front of them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
that's again going back to meditation. That's how I felt about meditation, because for the longest time I was under the impression that like you had to meditate and everything would just go quiet and be still, and
Mm.
it's like it wasn't until the last couple of years so that I realized like that is not meditation. Like it's just being with you and just taking that time to reconnect. And I was like, oh, no wonder I felt like I was doing this wrong for my whole life.
Mhm. Yeah. So like I said, when you have a challenging meditation, when those thoughts are coming up, or you're replaying maybe an argument or a conversation you had, or a bad part of your day, that's literally showing you the chaos of how you act on the outside of meditation, so that when you do come back out of meditation, you can be more conscious to those moments, because they're being shown to you while you're quiet. So they're basically like showing the lesson plan to your face. And now you have the conscious choice whether or not you want to continue down the same habitual pattern of being unconscious, or if you want to start to shift. And just means noticing it more so that you don't get as triggered, so that you can, live a more balanced life. And we all can do this. We just have to, one, we have to want it. And
Yes.
two, as hard as it is, because really everything is just an unconscious pattern by the time you're 35, right?
Mhm.
90% of what we do and who we become is an unconscious habit or pattern. And in some ways, these are amazing things. Meditation has become a habit that I will never, ever give up. It's amazing that we don't have to learn to walk every single day or use utensils or breathe or brush our teeth. But then there are a lot of habits that aren't good for us that we need to start, taking more notice of so that we can shift.
Yeah. I mean, you said it perfectly. For people that are still feeling intimidated by meditation or just starting to meditate, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, one, it doesn't matter if you are sitting there for 30 seconds and go into a place of peace, or 20 minutes, you've done it. Like, you can literally sit for 20 minutes and only get 13 seconds of being in the present moment. Don't give up. You've already done it. You've done it. And if it feels like it is too overwhelming, take a nap instead. Like, reset yourself, reset your nervous system, and start over. But know that in every breath you take, you have a choice to start again. So be
I love it.
kind. Yeah, have compassion for yourself in the process. This isn't easy. Guided meditations are a little bit easier in the beginning for people, someone that can walk you through so that it can help quiet your mind. Um, but I like people to go in and play with their own chaos. I want you to learn that so that you can sit there for longer periods of time and learn more about yourself. If you're always doing a guided meditation, you're always floating off in the different dimensions. It feels great. You're seeing all kinds of fun stuff. You feel great, but uh, you, it's a wonderful practice, but still you need those moments of breaking up the patterns. You got to break up the narrow pathways and create new ones.
I just a couple weeks ago listened to a great podcast. I think it was Tony Robbins' podcast. He had Eckhart Tolle on.
Oh yeah.
Um and Eckhart Tolle talked about meditation and how to do certain things, and he's like, sometimes all you have to do to meditate is literally just look at things and
Mhm.
don't define it. Just enjoy whatever it is and don't say like, "Oh, it's a cloud." Like, just look
Yes.
at it. And he's like, "That's meditation." And I was like, "Wow,
Mhm.
way to break it down."
Yeah. Or a lot of people, you can light a candle and just look into the flame. Anything that has a focused attention, you can listen to a fan blowing, that just the hum of something, white noise, things like that, that'll just kind of slow things down for you.
See? There we go. Easy steps, y'all. Easy steps. So going back to you talked about ancestral wisdom. Man, I'm really struggling today. And quantum physics. So how do you tie in that ancestral wisdom and quantum physics with the mind body heart connection?
So, basically, the quantum physics is using all the universal laws, getting people to understand that what you put out you get back, understanding your frequency. And once I've been able to do that, and really get people to better understand how their brain and heart works, that's when I call in my guides. And those guides, that's that ancient wisdom, that's that my elders and my ancestors, I bring them in. But because I've had such an incredible connection with them for so long now through meditation, I've connected to who my guides are, and I'm able to ask them for support, and they help lead me in helping other people with their journey through understanding quantum physics and how to work with it.
I love that. Do your how many are you can you share how many like guides you have, or is that just something special for you?
No, I can tell you, I have incredible thousands and thousands of Native Americans with me all the time, medicine men, medicine women. I have a lot of the angels that walk with me. Archangel Michael is with me all the time. Archangel Raphael is another one, Archangel Ariel. But then I also have my totem animals that were gifted to me before I was even born that match the characteristics of who I am. And the three, usually we have three that can be more prominent, but many power animals and things like that have walked with me. But my totems are the tiger, the hawk, and the snake. So I work with that medicine and those animals all the time in meditation, working with other people. They always come in and help guide.
For people that want to find out what their totem animals are, how can they do that?
Ooh, you can go on a sacred journey. So
Ooh, this
most
sounds like
people,
fun.
oh, they are the guided meditations that literally lead you into meeting who your guides are. And sometimes for some people, they are going to be the animals, and for some people, they might be something different. So everybody's things come through very differently. Now, I work specifically with the animal kingdom, so I have that ability to tell people what they are and show them through sessions what
Okay.
their or totem animals are. But any person who is trained in shamanic journeying can absolutely lead people into finding their animal guides to work with.
Well, perfect. So for people that would want to work with you, how can they connect with you?
You can find me on Facebook as Kelly L. McCarthy, nice and easy. Instagram, same thing. KM, or is it KLM McCarthy? And then my website is beyondwordsandwisdom.com. That's probably the easiest way, or by email. A lot of people just email. So, and that would be Kelly at beyondwordsandwisdom.com.
Wonderful. Is there anything lasting? I don't want to say lasting because everything you said was lasting. Is there anything final that you want to leave with our listeners?
Yeah, I want to share that probably one of the most profound things that ever was said to me that really, really changed my life was that life is not happening to you. It's not even happening for you. It's happening as you, through you. So you have a real personal responsibility to choose your energetic frequency, because not only is your frequency imprinting and impacting every experience you perceive to have, you're also imprinting and impacting every being on the planet, whether you're conscious to it or not.
Ooh, I got goosebumps. I love it. Thank you so, so much, Kelly, for being here and taking the time out to speak with me. I learned so much from you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on.
Yeah. And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. And I'll see you all next episode.